On September 30th, the trailer for James Fox's upcoming film, The Program, was released. We will explore everything it reveals. The first hint about the focus of the film is revealed in Jesse Michaels' YouTube documentary titled The Most Important UFO Investigator on the Planet, in which he interviews James Fox.
Yeah. And I really think that we have created a very compelling case with the program that a very program like a crash retrieval probably does exist, right?
Yeah.
So that I think we accomplished.
Yeah.
According to Fox's statement, this film focuses on an alleged crash retrieval program which UFO whistleblowers like David Grush and Carl Nell have testified exists. And here, from the same interview, Fox explains what he wants to accomplish with this film.
I want the program to come out and get people to do more work on it, dig deeper, ask the right questions, you know, hold their feet to the fire. Like, you know, let's look at, because you got a lot of noise, right? And it's like you got pushback from the intelligence communities. There's really nothing in it for them for this stuff to come out, but they ain't putting the genie back in the bottle, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Well, I think there's a fight within the intel community.
Of course, as some people want it out, other people don't want it out. I get it, you know, it's gonna.
I have little doubt that this film will accomplish precisely what Fox intends: to hold those keeping all this secret from the public's feet to the fire. Indeed, the film is part of a process leading to the awakening of humanity, the awakening of all 8 billion of us. But we can't awaken unless we heal. Ultimately, what we need is UFO healing.
I'm here, you know, it's time to reconcile this. We need to heal from this. You know, we need to disclose the basics, the fact that we're not alone. We've recovered material and we've recovered the occupants. And beyond that, you know, the president can decide what should be disclosed. It's above my pay grade, but the basics should be acknowledged. And I think
James Fox is a truth warrior, a disclosure warrior, a man who has come to bring healing to the world. In my view, that healing can only come if we learn the basics that David Grush pointed out. I call that the healing trinity. Disclosure that we're not alone, that we've recovered material, and that we've recovered the occupants. Anything missing from that trinity is not enough. I didn't come here for partial healing. I came here for the whole enchilada. And I've got a big appetite, I'm not going to lie. In the following clip, James Fox explains he's been told by insiders that we'll get disclosure by 2030.
There's going to be pretty significant progress, in my opinion, in the next 5 years. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't like at least a disclosure in the sense that, and I've talked to government insiders about this, the plan is, for when I say full disclosure, they say they're not going to give up the technology. That's not going to happen. They might be an admission of having some, but that there is definitive proof that we're not alone. Now that, I'm told so, by 2030, am I going to sit there and make a prediction that's absolute fact? No, I'm not. If I had to guess one way or the other, did you?
I bet Mick West $10,000.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Which is such a stupid bet if you were to have, like, I should have 100,000 to 1 odds, but I just bet 1 to 1.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I believe that. I believe what you're saying. Did you guys
put the money in a joint account? So if
we like wrote up something, and I don't remember. Well, you know, it was signed.
Now, I know some people would say that disclosure is always just around the corner and that it's never going to happen. To that, I would respond that such an argument would be more compelling if all the progress made since December 16th, 2017 had reversed or imploded. So if you claim that disclosure is always just out of reach, I'll counter by suggesting that a regression to pre-December 16th, 2017 UFO awareness is always just around the corner. Two can play at this game. Because if this is all fake or we're not making progress, then why are we making progress? In that light, on the September 25th, journalist Matt Laszlo asked Representative Anna Paulina Luna about the upcoming UFO hearing scheduled for November 13th. She stated that among the witnesses who will be present during the hearing, the organizing body has someone they believe is highly qualified, and as she put it, you guys will be happy. That sounds promising. And let's not forget that civilian analyst Matthew Pine stated that someone big will be coming forward likely this year. Someone we would all know if we watch the news, who will back up UFO whistleblower David Grush's claims. He called it the coup de grace. While it seems like 2023 is almost over, I would go so far as to say that this year is young. When it comes to disclosure time, we have a long way to go this year. Consider it the opposite of dog years. So in the following clip, Jesse Michaels tells James Fox that he thinks he accomplished the goal of making it appear as if it's likely that there is a crash retrieval program whose mission is to retrieve non-human intelligence craft. But then he says, but I'm already kind of bought in, so I don't know if I can be objective. And then James Fox goes into a friend of his that saw some of his documentary and how it impacted him. You know what I mean?
No, I feel like you did an amazing job and did accomplish that. I mean, it's maybe a little hard for me to say because I'm already bought in.
Right. But when I have a really good friend of mine who's a very smart guy, he's a former teacher at Berkeley University, and he watched some of it and he's like, oh, the stuff that's being said, I wouldn't even consider believing it, but it was coming out of the mouths of Rounds and Schumer and, you know.
Yeah, our most,
you know what I mean? And then I'm looking at all this data and these reports and, boy, this is really hard to dismiss, you know?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Like, you really got me thinking, and that's all like one can do.
So what James Fox just stated there is extremely significant, and it's so easy to overlook the significance of that by getting caught up in what is going to be in the documentary. How impressive is it going to be? And what I mean by that is because even what's already in plain sight that has occurred from December 16th, 2017, all the way up to today is extremely impressive. And the fact of the matter is the vast majority of Americans and the world at large are completely oblivious to everything that's taken place. And what James Fox's film is going to do is it's going to put that front and center and inform Americans and the world at large what's been going on since the New York Times article came out in 2017. And to help put in perspective what people are oblivious to, in February, former Colonel Carl Nell did a presentation titled Carl Nell on the Schumer Amendment and Controlled Disclosure. And here's a slide from his presentation. Explicit terms of reference in Disclosure Act. The Disclosure Act is the legislation. Non-human intelligence, NHI, is written 18 times. Legacy program is written 4 times. And let's go ahead and read the definition for legacy program that's found in the legislation. Definition: all federal, state, and local government, commercial, industry, academic, and private sector endeavors to collect, exploit, or reverse engineer TUO or examine biological evidence of living or deceased NHI, non-human intelligence, that predates enactment of this act. Prosaic attribution, 3 citations. Technology of unknown origin, TUO, 12 citations. This is extraordinary legislation signed off by many members of Congress, not the least of which is the most powerful member in all of the United States Congress, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. And so James Fox's documentary has put this together like the ultimate briefing that's easy to digest. And not only that, he's going to have whistleblowers that nobody knows of yet that are going to go public for the first time in his film. We'll get into that later. And this is going to really push the ball down the field because so many people are oblivious to what's going on. And I anticipate that in some measurable way, it is going to increase pressure on the U.S. government to be transparent about what's really going on with UFOs. And this ties into an earlier clip I showed you from Jesse Michaels' documentary, where James Fox said, "I want the program to come out and get people to do more work on it, dig deeper, ask the right questions, hold their feet to the fire." And yes, I think that's exactly what this film is going to accomplish. It's going to create a sense of urgency among a large amount of people in the United States, outside of the United States, including U.S. lawmakers. They will receive greater pressure from the American public to get to the bottom of what's going on. And the program that's coming out is only part of the overall process that is going to continue. Dan Farah coming out with a documentary where Lou Elizondo and others are going to be involved. It's supposed to be incredibly compelling. And there's other events that are going to happen. All of this is kind of creating a quickening that is going to continue to put pressure on the U.S. government, which is a good thing because we all have a need to know. Let's go through the nuts and bolts of the actual trailer itself for the upcoming film, The Program, directed by James Fox. Right off the bat, it's clear that this film is going to incorporate a lot of what's taken place in recent history regarding UFO hearings, various members of Congress speaking about this issue. Even the administrator of NASA, Bill Nelson, is in the preview. And there's not any spoilers in this preview. This preview or this trailer is not revealing any of the real juicy stuff, which I think was a wise choice by James Fox. I think refraining from exposing that in the trailer will be a benefit to the film itself. So in the beginning of the trailer, James Fox says to Kirk McConnell, and to set you up, Kirk McConnell is a 37-year SSCI, HPSCI, SASC professional staff member, so a congressional staff member, highly credentialed, highly respected, and that's who James Fox is speaking to. And I quote, James Fox says to Kirk McConnell, "You're telling me people have come forward claiming first-hand knowledge of craft of non-human origin?" Kirk McConnell responds, "That's correct. We have sources who have asserted not only that there have been crashes, but that there have been retrievals." So that's big. So you can add Kirk McConnell to someone who has stated that first-hand witnesses have made these claims. Now, I grant you that this is hearsay, right? Kirk McConnell is saying that he heard this from other witnesses. It's also hearsay when Senator Marco Rubio has said this. It's also hearsay when David Grush has said this. Nevertheless, from what I understand, there are going to be first-hand witnesses in James Fox's upcoming film, which would not be hearsay. But the point is that the idea that it's a mind virus in the Pentagon and there are people who are somehow misleading members of Congress about a crash retrieval program, that line of thought is going to become less and less credible over time. At this point, I don't think it's so credible right now, but some people try to sell that as some kind of sophisticated theory. I think it's a very questionable and dubious theory, but that's just my perspective. Next, there's an individual shown in the trailer, and he says, "I'm sitting here today because the American people have been lied to." Now, his voice is put through some kind of filter so that it's anonymous and you don't see his face. That might be a first-hand witness, but of course, if you don't get his name and his credentials, that's problematic. But I still think that there will be first-hand witnesses where their identities are revealed. But nevertheless, that looked interesting. A nice little teaser. We'll find out who this. We'll get more information on who this individual is when the film drops. So the next portion that's noteworthy to me in James Fox's trailer is journalist Brian Bender. He used to work for Politico. He stated in the trailer, "The pressure's on. The Pentagon, the CIA are going to have to answer the mail." And that's really interesting. Why are they going to have to answer the mail? Why are they going to be under scrutiny? And I think it's because of where this is all headed. part of that equation, of course, is James Fox's upcoming film. But when you get all these insiders, you get all these former and current employees from the U.S. government and aerospace companies, some of them firsthand witnesses telling you that there's a crash retrieval program, and that it's not a crash retrieval program for foreign technology like from Russia or China, right? That exists too, but a crash retrieval program specifically, well, not specifically, I'm sure they do a lot of things, but they also retrieve craft of unknown origin that clearly do not originate from adversaries or any human technologies. When you get all these people coming forward saying the same thing, you kind of have one of two options. Either there's a lot of people that are really credulous, maybe not completely sane, saying something that a bunch of other credulous, not completely sane people are saying, yet they're credentialed, they're highly cleared, they're working for government, they're working for aerospace corporations, or alternatively, there is something to this. There is a crash retrieval program that actually does recover craft of unknown origin that do not stem from human technology, and they're bringing it back to be studied by the U.S. government through contractors like Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works.
And I would put it to people this way. There are one or two things here are true. Either what he is saying is partially true or entirely true, or we have some really smart, educated people with high clearances and very important positions in our government who are crazy and are leading us on a goose chase. One of these two things is true. Either what they're telling us is true, or we've got some people in important positions that are doing this for some reason. So either one is a problem. We got to figure this out. We can't ignore it.
So yes, at some point, clearly the CIA, the Pentagon are going to have to answer the mail. And I do think in some respect, there are people, insiders in the U.S. government, that are working to bring this out. I'm not saying it's organized. I'm not saying it's some grand plan. But, you know, James Fox said that he spoke to some government insiders who say that at least by 2030, there's going to be some kind of disclosure on what's going on. Hopefully, it will happen before 2030. And as you may recall, Jesse Michaels, he made a bet with world-renowned UFO skeptic, the most prominent UFO skeptic in the world, Mick West, that by 2030 there would be some kind of disclosure. And I think that's symbolic. Beyond it being interesting that Jesse Michaels made a bet for 10 grand with Mick West, I think that's symbolic because we have about 5 more years until 2030, right? And a little over 5 years. And so if we don't make further progress, then the skeptics will have a much better argument. On the other hand, it's also true that this should implode or do a U-turn. This constant tension of UFO hearings. The next one is on November 13th, with Chairwoman Nancy Mace. Like, this should not continue. This tension should not continue. We should absolutely revert back to pre-December 16th, 2017 UFO levels in terms of awareness, in terms of mainstream media taking it seriously, in terms of the scientific community taking it seriously, in terms of government officials taking it seriously. Like, it should revert back to where it was if there's nothing to this. So I think this is going to be tested. And people who say it's not falsifiable, it always irritates me. Because I don't want to get into the psychological reasons that I suspect why they're saying that, but well, I guess I will. It's like some people don't want this to be tested. On either side, there are skeptics that don't seem to want this to be tested, and then there are believers who don't seem to want this to be tested, maybe because they don't want to lose face in case they're wrong. But if anything, I think that reveals that people who sound like they're so sure, maybe deep down they're really not so sure. They just rather it be in this limbo zone where it never really gets tested, and they can declare from the rooftops that everyone else is an idiot but them, right? But you can't do that necessarily if something gets tested. Now, when I say it's falsifiable, I'm not necessarily saying it will be strictly falsifiable, but in terms of probability, absolutely this is falsifiable. We go another 5 years, and and within this framework, it does a U-turn or implodes, and we go back to pre-December 16th, 2017 UFO awareness and credibility levels. Yes, that's a degree of falsifiability. On the other hand, If we keep getting more hearings, keep getting more whistleblowers, and slowly but surely the U.S. government begrudgingly admits to the reality of this, maybe shows us new evidence, that's also a form of falsifiability. Another portion of the trailer that I found noteworthy is James Fox asked Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee, what is being done to verify the assertion that the U.S. government has spaceships of non-human intelligence in their possession? In the preview, there is no answer. It's just that segment. But I think that's a really great question. What is being done, right? How are we going to finally get to the bottom of these very old allegations that have been made for decades, whether or not the U.S. government has given access of these technologies to aerospace companies to back engineer? So that obviously is going to be explored in the actual documentary. What is Congress doing to get to the bottom of these allegations? And then another interesting portion, this will be the last part we will cover, is how Puthoff, of course, has had a security clearance in the U.S. government for a very long time, has worked for the U.S. government in research. He's a scientist, physicist, and he stated on record in the documentary, and I quote, "I would go to jail to say things that I've been exposed to in the program." Now, of course, the program is referencing the alleged crash retrieval program tasked with, obviously, they also recover terrestrial technologies, but in addition to that, allegedly, they also recover non-human technologies. And so Hal Puthoff is saying that he's been read into on an official basis where he would actually go to jail if he revealed it, classified information on the crash retrieval program. But suffice to say, he's going to be in the documentary, and that's great because Hal Puthoff's a very interesting guy. So my perspective on the whole thing is, well, the documentary, the trailer, there's really no huge spoilers in it. There's some interesting pieces to it, but I wouldn't go so far to say that there's any huge spoilers in it. They were very conservative in that regard in construction of the trailer, but this looks like a really interesting film. I look forward to it coming out. I hope it comes out before the November 13th UFO hearing with Chairwoman Nancy Mace, because I think having this precede the upcoming UFO hearing would make the hearing more powerful. Absolutely. And potentially would give the media more to hang its teeth on, if you will. But one of the key takeaways I would say with this whole video that I've made that really resonates with me and is worth reiterating is that James Fox said he wants, as a result of this film, people to get involved, people to ask the questions, people, investigative journalists, maybe 60 Minutes, other investigative bodies, as I interpret it, to look into these allegations. And they are worth looking into when you consider how old these allegations are and how many credible people have come forward asserting that that there's truth to these allegations. So like I said at one part of the video in a humorous way, we don't have much left of 2024, but in disclosure years, we have a tremendous amount of time left because things can escalate so quickly depending upon what happens. And there's been a lot said about what's going to happen in the remainder of 2024. So let's keep our eyes peeled, and please do not forget to subscribe because I am on the ball. I'm going to be covering what's going down in UFO disclosure land, if you will. And so I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. If you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You can become a patron. You can become a YouTube member. You can give me a one-time donation. All those potentialities can be accessed in the description box below, or you can slap a like on this bad boy and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all patrons, YouTube members, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.